Hey, stop what you're doing right now. Seriously, stop scrolling, stop multitasking, put the phone down for a second, because what I'm about to share with you in this video has the potential to completely change the way you look at trading forever. And I don't say that as a hook. I don't say that to get your attention and then waste your time. I say it because everything I'm about to walk you through is the result of years of losses, years of frustration, years of being this close to quitting, and then finally cracking something open that made everything click. So if you've ever felt like the market is working against you personally, if you've ever closed your laptop after a bad trading session and thought, why does this keep happening to me? If you've ever followed a strategy perfectly and still lost money and couldn't understand why, this video is specifically, directly, personally made for you. Stay until the end because it builds. And the part that's going to hit you hardest is not the beginning. It's what comes after we lay the groundwork together. Now let's start with something uncomfortable. Let's start with the real reason you're here. You got into trading because you saw something. Maybe it was a YouTube video of someone showing their account, green numbers stacking up, talking about working from a laptop anywhere in the world. Maybe it was someone in your circle, a friend, a cousin, a coworker, who started making money and you thought, I'm smarter than that, I can do this too. Maybe you were just tired of the 9 to 5, tired of making someone else rich with your time and your energy, tired of a salary that doesn't move no matter how hard you work. And trading looked like the exit door. It looked like freedom with a price tag that felt reachable. A few $1,000s, a brokerage account, some YouTube tutorials, and you're off to the races. That was the dream. That was the picture in your head when you made your first deposit. And then reality showed up. And reality was not gentle. Maybe your first few trades were actually okay, and that almost made it worse because it gave you confidence you hadn't earned yet. Or maybe you lost from trade 1, and you thought, okay, I just need to learn more. So you studied harder, watched more videos, bought a course, joined a community, and you did learn more, genuinely. Your chart reading improved. You started understanding concepts like support and resistance, trend structure, liquidity, order flow. You put in real work, real hours, real effort, and yet the account still didn't grow the way it was supposed to. Some months were okay. Most months were a slow bleed. And the most confusing part was that you couldn't always point to one big mistake. It wasn't one catastrophic blow-up trade every time. It was 100 small decisions, 100 tiny deviations from the plan, 100 moments where you knew what you were supposed to do and did something slightly different anyway. And those 100 small moments added up to the same result: frustration, confusion, and a balance that kept moving in the wrong direction. That story I just told you, that is not unique to you. That is the story of roughly 90% of retail traders. 9 out of 10 people who open a trading account will lose money. That statistic is so well known that it's almost become background noise in the trading world. People hear it and nod and think, yeah, but I'm going to be in the 10%. And they should think that. You should think that. But here's the part nobody talks about. The reason most people stay in the 90% is not because they're not smart enough, not because they don't work hard enough, and not because the markets are rigged against them. The reason is structural. The reason is that they are using a strategy without a framework. And without understanding the difference between those two things, nothing, no indicator, no signal service, no magical moving average crossover is ever going to set them free. And that word, free, is exactly what this video is about. Because trading freedom is real. It exists. There are people living it right now. But the path to it is not what the industry sold you. And today, we are tearing that false picture down and building the real one from scratch. So let me give you the most important definition you will hear in this entire video. A strategy is a set of rules that tells you when to enter a trade, when to exit a trade, and how much to risk. A framework is the mental and structural operating system that determines whether you actually follow those rules when it counts. Read that again in your head if you need to. A strategy is the what. A framework is the how and the why and the who. Specifically, who you are as a trader when the market is moving fast, when your last 3 trades were losers, when you're up big and you don't want to give it back, when a setup appears that's 90% of what you look for but not quite there. In those moments, and those moments happen every single session, your strategy gives you nothing. Because your strategy assumes you're a robot. Your strategy was written in a calm moment, in a controlled environment, with no money on the line and no emotion in your body. But you don't trade in that environment. You trade in the real one, the one with adrenaline, in doubt, in hope, in ego, all running simultaneously in the background while you're trying to read a 1-minute chart and make a decision in 30 seconds. And that gap, the gap between the calm version of you who wrote the rules and the live version of you who has to follow them, that gap is where 90% of trading accounts go to die. So the question becomes, how do you close that gap? How do you build the kind of internal structure that holds up not just on a good day, not just when the trades are working and the setups are clean and the market is trending beautifully, but on the hard days? On the choppy, ugly, confusing, stop-hunting news spike days where nothing looks right and everything feels wrong. How do you show up with the same clarity, the same discipline, the same process on day 100 as you had on day 1 when you were still excited and fresh and fully committed to doing it right? That is the problem this video solves. Not partially, not theoretically, actually, practically, specifically solves with a real framework you can write down, internalize, and start using from your very next session. And here's where it gets interesting, because the framework we're going to build isn't separate from your trading strategy. It wraps around it. It lives above and below every technical decision you make. It starts before you even open your charts in the morning, and it continues after you close your last trade at night. It changes how you prepare, how you execute, how you review, and ultimately, how you grow. And when this framework is fully in place, something remarkable happens. The stress doesn't disappear. Let's be honest, the market will always have moments of tension, but the suffering disappears, the confusion disappears, the randomness disappears, because every single thing that happens in your trading session, wins, losses, missed trades, everything has a place in the framework. Everything gets processed. Nothing spirals. Nothing triggers a revenge trade. Nothing sends you into a drawdown that wipes out a week of work in 40 minutes. You become, for the first time, genuinely in control of the one thing you can actually control in trading: yourself. Now, before I get into the actual components of this framework, and we are going to go deep on each one, I'm talking specific, numbered, actionable components, I need to address one more thing. Because there's a belief system that most struggling traders carry that will quietly sabotage everything I'm about to give you if we don't deal with it right now. And that belief is this: the idea that results are the measure of quality. In other words, if the trade made money, the decision was good. If the trade lost money, the decision was bad. This is the most dangerous way to evaluate your trading. It sounds logical, it sounds obvious, of course a winning trade was a good trade, but this thinking is precisely what keeps traders stuck in emotional loops they can't escape, because the market is probabilistic, not deterministic. That means the outcome of any single trade is never fully within your control. You can do everything right, identify the correct trend, wait for the precise entry signal, place your stop exactly where it belongs, size your position correctly, and still lose. Because the market is not a vending machine. You don't put in a perfect setup and guaranteed get a winning trade out. You put in a perfect setup and you get a statistically favorable outcome over a large enough sample size. That's it. That's the whole game. And if you don't internalize that, truly internalize it, not just intellectually understand it, but feel it in how you react to a losing trade, then every loss you take will feel like a personal failure. Every loss will feel like evidence that your strategy doesn't work. Every losing streak will feel like a reason to abandon the plan and try something new. And you will spend years, potentially your entire trading career, switching strategies every 3 months, never giving anything long enough to prove itself, always one step behind the market, always chasing, always frustrated. The traders who make it, the ones who build real sustainable accounts, the ones who eventually do get to work from wherever they want and answer to nobody, they don't measure themselves by wins and losses. They measure themselves by process adherence. Did I follow the framework today? Did every trade I took meet every single criteria I defined before the session started? Did I manage my emotions at the moments where they tried to take over? That is the scorecard. That is the report card that actually means something. Because a trader who follows their process perfectly for 100 trades, even through drawdown periods, even through losing streaks, they're building something real. They're building a muscle that compounds. And on the other side of that consistency is the account growth, the confidence, and the freedom they were looking for when they started. That is what part 1 of this strategy is about. Not a single chart pattern yet, not a single indicator, not a single entry trigger, just the foundation, just the ground we are building on. Because I have seen too many talented traders take a great technical system and destroy it with a broken mental approach. I refuse to let that happen to you. In the next part, we're getting into the actual mechanics, the specific framework components, the chart-based confirmation system, and the exact process you follow from the moment you wake up on a trading day to the moment you close your platform at night. It's all coming, and it is going to be worth every minute you stayed. Let's keep going.